Welcome to 1 EMS, the assessment. I'm Charles McFall, here on day 2 of the Georgia EMS Association Providers and Educators Conference. I'm here with Adam, who I had on last year.
Yes.
And I know we played the game, but I just want to, the 3 easy questions, right? 3, 2, 1, 3 easy, 2 medium, one kind of harder because it's a thought process. So the easiest question is, what has changed since last year for you?
Well, a couple cool positive changes. One, I'm not on shift anymore.
Okay.
I am now the interim EMS coordinator for our department, which is a new program within our department to better serve the community as far as the medical care, because as we all know, medical services, it's the bread and butter of any fire service, really.
Yeah.
But 87 and 90% of our calls are medical, so they realized the need for it. So they said, hey, let's expand it to assist the private agency with EMS care. So I'm in charge of that now, so it's pretty fun.
How you like it?
I love it. It's my first month doing it, so still getting used to not being on shift, 24-hour shifts after 23 years, but it's fun. I like the challenge.
Good. Well, that's the word, right? Because any level of leadership can be a challenge.
Yes.
Is a nice word.
Yes.
So far in your transition, what was one of the biggest challenges you had to solve?
Right now is knowing where the boundaries are. Like what policies need to be implemented first, and it's the boundary and priority. Like I don't know what may be a priority for me may not be for the community.
Sure.
That's my biggest challenge right now, is figuring out what's next.
I love that you said the word "figure it out," and this will be the third easy question. How do we inspire our leaders to do just that? Instead of going, I can't, how do we inspire people to go, well, I can start from scratch and figure it out?
Everybody's different. So to me, how do I encourage the supervisor on shift the buy-in of what we're doing? That's a hard question, and that's one of those things where it should be number one. The hard question you had on there. But if everybody's different, so you have to, my approach with each leader, I have to know their motivation. I got to know what their buy-in is.
So you don't just go yell at them, effing figure it out, man.
No,
that doesn't work.
I don't believe in you can figure it out. It doesn't work that way.
Well, there's a little of a balance, right, between the dismissive, I'm not going to help you, versus we build muscles.
Yes,
right. I mean, if you need to be taught something, that's something. But there's a muscle the word. So I went to paramedic school in 2000, and the phrases back then were they teach at school. That's not the street. We're going to teach you how to do it right. What you're really saying is, you got all the theory. Now we're going to build the muscle of how you do it. And hopefully you got with somebody who taught you the right way and not the shortcuts. But that's you said buy-in, and I think that's probably the hardest thing to do with humans in general is get. But once you get it, you got it.
Yes, and the good thing is they see the result. Sometimes all it takes is one call for them to say, "Hey, this is going to work." And we had that one call before I came to the conference, and that particular shift said, "Whoa, it worked. This is going to work."
Right, so it's like magic.
Now that ever since then, they're like, "Hey, why don't you come talk to our shift and tell us what our expectations are and what our expectations of you should be?" And I'm very blunt and honest. It's like, look, it's hard for me to tell you what my expectations are. My expectations are really just to learn the job. If you don't master it, you're not doing yourself justice. I ask everybody this one question before I start any EMT or any EMT school or EMR school, whatever. Who is the most important person in your life?
Right, and you say your wife, your mom, your whatever.
Yeah, whoever that is, that one person. Every person that you treat from here on out should be looked at as that most important person in your life. And you'd be amazed at the transition of the thought process that happens when you bring that up in the very beginning and you keep reminding them of that.
Before we go into the hard ones, it reminded me of raising my own children. And when they got into certain situations, I would talk to them. It depends on the age, right? How deep this kind of conversation went. But it's basically, does it feel good right now to say you don't know? Do you feel helpless? How about you just, same coin, flip it to the other side, going, I'm going to figure it out. and start and told them to get into their strengths, basically. And some days it was just so like, stop being weak, get into your strengths, and like, yeah, whatever that. But yeah, it's doing yourself justice is the phrase you use, and we don't pay attention to that as much as we should in this field as ourselves. Going, I'm here to do the job. I'm here to do what you told me to, and instead of internalizing, okay, I understand why we're doing it, and how it works, and I'm becoming a better person for it.
Yes.
So. We've asked that one of you last year. Let's see. What have you? This is one of the medium questions. What have you sacrificed in your career that you regret?
I'll be honest with you. I don't regret anything.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. Like for prime example, a lot of people think I should be envious or upset because I didn't get the last cap promotion. That was on me. I didn't get upset about it. I just happened to be taking some classes that were of another, like NFA, and the class was based off of, or the test was based off of IFSTA edition, which is not that they go against each other, they just had different answers.
Sure.
But everything happened for a reason. If I had gotten that captain position, I would not be in the position I am now. Like, there's no doubt about it. So I've learned from my dad, who's a retired assistant fire chief from here, everything happened for a reason. Don't be mad at what happened in the past. Be excited for what's coming in the future. And I really don't have any regret. I really don't.
Would you say your advice off of that would be essentially something along the lines of, your path is your path, and understand that if you hit something you thought you were getting, just keep following your path and don't worry about someone else's path.
Yeah, don't worry about what people say. Don't worry about follow your internal instinct. Grieve what you have, become humble, because sometimes that's why you don't get what you deserve, is because sometimes you feel like, or an external force feel like you need to be more humble, because if you're not humble before you accept the position, you're not going to give it 110%.
Yeah.
You're not going to be...
Because you think, there's a difference between being humble, or you can be confident and be humble at the same time. There's a difference between being humble and not, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's that cockiness of when you're cocky and your ego, your emotions are in it, like, no, I've earned this. I'm sorry, that just means you got to work harder now. If you really earned a spot at the table, now you got to fight to keep it.
And,
but being humble, gratitude and humility just go hand in hand.
Yes.
And
if you appreciate something more, you're going to give more to it than if you're just like, I earned it, that's going to be mine, and you get it, and it's like, okay, now it's mine, what do I do? Versus you're humble, you're like, hey, whatever comes is going to come. That's my biggest, we just talked about earlier, it's like, what's my biggest challenges? I don't know yet, but I'm ready for them.
Yeah.
And whether it kicks me on my butt, cool, I'm going to get right back up and go, I ain't going to do that again. Or this works, I'm going to continue and build off of that, so yeah.
I've even gotten to a point where if I were to lose my job that brings me the income, right? Because this is getting there, you know. But if I lost that, it's like, well, I've truly done for me what I thought was the best thing to do. And if it's not the right thing that matches where the company, or if I can even see, because I'm not blind, I'm not, putting my head in the sand and ignoring things. Like, if I can see I'm not getting results, I'm like, I actually welcome it. It's like, come on in, because I'm not in the right place.
Yeah.
And how do we teach that to our oncoming EMTs and new paramedics and new firefighters?
Well, the biggest thing about the generation now, and I hear a lot of people talk down to the generation. The generation that's coming up, just like when we came up, people thought the same thing with us. We have something to bring to the table. But for someone like us that didn't grow up with the mindset of the current generation, is we have to figure out what motivates them. We have to figure out that buy-in for them. But we have to also teach them life lessons. You got to teach them the failures that we've accomplished so they don't make the same thing. When they do fail, don't kick them out. Let's build them up. And that's the biggest thing nowadays is people, as soon as you make a mistake, let's say driving. Driving is the big thing. Some of these kids have never driven anything but their Prius or their Tesla, and then all of a sudden now they're driving an 80,000-pound machine at $1 million or $750,000, and they're freaking out. Okay, well, that's the time to teach and build them up. Say, hey, you're going to drive, not right this second now because you have some things to do. But we need to build you up to that confidence level to let you go. It's the similar thing as we have to figure out what their strength and what their weaknesses are and use that for them, not against them.
Yeah. So, hard question is categories, because it's hard because we don't have an answer, right? It's more of a thought process.
Yeah.
We got finance, mental health, education, or I can ask you anything.
Let's do education.
All right, education. How do we get more people to not just see that EMT school is a valid option, but to differentiate between those who think it's going to be cool and those who are really meant to do the job? So that's you're trying to bring them in, but you're also trying to bring in the right ones.
The biggest thing is you have to help them understand that money is not what's going to make them happy. That's what a lot of people look for in the generation coming up.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of people thought money was happiness.
Yes, and
all generations.
Money will come after the happiness is established. That's one thing.
Sure.
And the reason why I bring that up is that's always brought up. Well, I had to pay this much for EMT school.
Right.
I'm only going to make this much when I get out. I'm going to be working this many hours.
Yeah.
And
when I can go to Best Buy, make $16 an hour and go home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I just had this happen in the last EMT class, and I only teach guys that are already on shift. And one of the things, like, what's the benefit of me getting EMT now when I don't have the ability to do anything? That's false. A lot of the misconception is what they hear from other people that don't know. Mm-hmm. And so I give them the facts, and I show them the facts on paper, and then we just got out of class with Cherokee County Chief, and I really love the way he said it. We have to be confident with our own skills and our own ability and our own job security, that we have to motivate them in the same mindset that we're being motivated. So when it comes to education is, if you don't know anything, that's when you start hurting people.
Yeah.
When you know more things, regardless if you can practice it or not, you have the mindset, you can make decisions that's going to better the chances of outcome, like Marcus Angel.
Yeah.
That's the prime example of that medic not getting paid the money, but someone motivated him to understand that needle strike was going to be the way to happen. And guess what happened? That medic now has the what's the word I'm looking for? The enthusiasm to keep going forward because of something that he'd only done one time in his life.
Right.
That's, to me, is how you motivate the new generation, or even some of the old heads that are out there. It's like, this is why you do it.
And that's what I found, like you said, the old heads as well, because it's not everybody. In general, people get grumpy and start blaming, this generation. They just want people to feed them. Well, what I understand about the generations after me is it's got more progressive of what I wanted in my generation. We wanted to be heard. Everybody else wants to be fulfilled.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, they are. If you watch Shark Tank, at least half the projects that are pitched have some kind of help the world aspect to it. And I would dare say that's what EMS is, and nobody knows it. And it's like, well, one, we should be able to pay our bills. That's a whole other conversation. But what you just said, you go to EMT school to get the foundation, you learn to walk, and you're helping people and you're making a difference. And I stress to the EMTs I've taught, and EMTRs even, who can only drive in Georgia, it's like, so that is your patient care, is that wheel, because of the physics in the back and everything else, and safety. And even the old heads, I think they get grumpy because we're not getting paid enough. This, it's a dead end job. Whatever they grump about, right? But seeing that, it's like, well, you've still been here for 20 years. You've got something out of it.
Yes.
Right? You've changed. You can't tell me that 20 years of running calls, you haven't changed somebody's life.
Yes.
Even if it was just a panic attack about mama, and we took care of mama, and nothing was really wrong. It's a BS call to us. We just changed the daughter's life.
Yes.
So inspiration.
Yes.
It's if we could bottle it and sell it, we'd be rich.
Yeah, I know, right?
But Adam, thank you again for coming on. I love the ideas. Love to see where you're going. I hope next year we'll talk again, and you'll talk about now we're spreading out to all the counties with my plans and all that. But thank you. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.